1911, 6th of November, Franco-Polish Marie Curie, the world's most famous female scientist, an icon whose talent is a source of national pride, finds herself at the heart of an unprecedented scandal that shatters her reputation. The press reveals that Marie has taken a lover. This lover is called Paul Langevin. Jeanne Langevin is his wife. Deceived and humiliated, she lashes out at her rival. This romantic dispute fascinates public opinion, and what starts out as a moral scandal divides the whole country. Two Frances face to face. Marie, or rather Maria Salome Sklodowska, was the youngest of 5 children. She was born in 1867 into a Catholic family in Warsaw, then under Russian rule. Born into a middle-class Polish family, she was brought up in a culture of excellence by 2 teacher parents. At a very young age, she found her vocation, science. However, Warsaw University didn't accept women. So at the end of October 1891, Maria joined her sister in Paris, discovered the Sorbonne, and prepared to write her legend.
On voit la Sorbonne?
Ah bah oui, regarde, là-bas le dôme.
In 1893, she obtained a degree in physics in France. The following year, she obtained a second degree in mathematics. In 1895, at the age of 28, she married Pierre Curie. Maria Sklodowska became a French citizen and was henceforth called Marie Curie. Together they had 2 children, or rather 3, 2 daughters, Irène and Ève, and a third of a completely different kind, radium, a naturally radioactive chemical element that the couple revealed to the world. The discovery of radioactivity revolutionized physics and earned them the ultimate prize, the Nobel Prize in Physics in 1903, with Henri Becquerel the precursor of their work. It was an unprecedented event. Marie Curie became the first woman to win this distinction. The French praised this wonderful couple. And their discovery, radium, became even more famous than they were. At the time, of course, no one was yet aware of the dangers of radioactivity. On the 19th of April 1906, Pierre Curie died in an accident, run over in the street in Paris. Marie Curie's grief was immense.
Je veux être couchée à côté de Pierre quand je serai morte, tu comprends? Je comprends. C'est bête, je sais. Tu as le droit de faire aussi des choses bêtes.
Jeanne Langevin was the complete opposite of Marie. This former seamstress from the Auvergne was the stereotype of the 19th century bourgeoise woman constrained by the rules of the civil code. Rather than succeeding through work, she was obliged to, and wanted to, marry, have children and look after them. She married Paul Langevin, an attractive, gifted, brilliant physicist and one of the precursors of the theory of relativity with Albert Einstein. But their marriage was falling apart. Jeanne thought he wasn't earning enough money. She wanted him to stop his research and sell himself to industry.
Parce que ma femme me tue. Elle veut que je lâche le Collège de France pour l'industrie. Et elle me persécute, je peux plus travailler.
Jeanne had done what was expected of her. She had had children, and she wanted a return on her investment. Jeanne was a jealous and angry woman. She even went so far as to steal the money Paul was saving for his mother, who had cancer. Tension mounted between the couple, especially as Paul was far from a perfect husband.
6 heures. Il y a longtemps qu'il devrait être rentré. Il a dû être retenu au laboratoire. Retenu par une donzelle, oui. Jeanne, pas devant les enfants. Est-ce qu'il y pense, lui, aux enfants, quand il court la gueuse?
He had many conquests. Jeanne became violent, and one day she even hit him with a chair. Paul's next conquest was Marie Curie. They were fascinated by each other's scientific talent. 5 years her junior, this former pupil of Pierre Curie gave Marie a new lease on life.
Chargez-moi d'organiser vos plaisirs, vous verrez, je suis un très bon professeur en la matière. Je suis sûr que vous avez des dons magnifiques à développer. Il n'y a qu'à vous regarder. Quand vous acceptez de sourire.
Thanks to her, Paul was back on top. After 2 years of depression without publishing anything, he got back to work. That's when they began their love story. Of course, Jeanne eventually suspected something. It was 1910. She discovered a letter with ambiguous content addressed to Marie Curie by her husband.
J'en étais sûre.
Jeanne Langevin was furious. She went to see the famous scientist, insulted her, hit her, and threatened to kill her. Despite everything, Marie and Paul's love was all the stronger. The scientist left the marital home and moved into a two-room apartment in the 13th arrondissement of Paris. It was in this building that they met up regularly. It was a cosy nest where they gave free rein to their passion. But the two lovers had to be extra vigilant to avoid Jeanne's wrath.
Marie, dis-moi que j'ai eu raison de partir de chez moi. Elle n'est pas méchante, tu sais.
Elle n'est pas méchante du tout. Elle veut que tu sors de ton laboratoire et que tu deviennes un industriel nanti, au lieu de courir toujours après 2 francs. C'était pas méchant, c'est vulgaire. On ne trahit pas son destin pour de l'argent.
After the attack, they no longer wrote to each other at home, but left letters in a locked drawer in their flat. At no point did Marie Curie realise that she was putting her career at risk. For her part, Jeanne was determined not to let herself be robbed of her husband. Her whole family supported her.
Quelle honte!
Donne-nous quelque chose à boire, maman. Ils vont nous payer ça, tous les deux.
She found a key supporter in her brother-in-law, Henri Bourgeois. He was a journalist who ran the legal column in Le Petit Journal. He was always on the lookout for sensational news, and he thought he had a story. He was going to reveal the affair between the physicist and the Nobel Prize winner. He instructed his henchmen to follow the lovers. He was all the more motivated because he sensed a political dimension to the affair. Having previously been fervently anti-Dreyfus, he was close to the nationalist right. The complete opposite of Paul Langevin, a profound humanist who supported Captain Dreyfus during the famous affair that had divided France a few years earlier. This was where Jeanne Langevin and Henri Bourgeois benefited from a combination of circumstances. In the autumn of 1910, Marie Curie applied to the Academy of Sciences. This is the Academy today. 271 members, only 31 of whom are women. But back then it was even worse. Marie Curie was the first woman to apply. The institution was shocked by such audacity. The press denounced the application, as did most scientists. Many French women themselves believed that a woman's place was in the home and not in a male circle. Marie Curie, who until then had been celebrated, changed her status with regards to public opinion. A rumour spread Marie Curie was said to be Jewish, which at the time was the worst kind of insult. The scientist was forced to write a statement to make it clear that she was Catholic. The result was that she lost the election by 2 votes to Édouard Branly, one of the inventors of wireless telegraphy. Jeanne Langevin and Henri Bourgeois rejoiced at the insulting treatment of Marie in the press, especially since the journalist's investigations were progressing. He had come up with a completely illegal plan.
Attention les valets.
His spies discovered their apartment. They broke in and found Paul and Marie's hidden love letters. For Henri Bourgeois, these letters were worth their weight in gold. Jeanne got her revenge. She had the ultimate proof of adultery, an offence punishable by law. At the time, a woman risked imprisonment if she had a relationship with a married man, which was not true for the husband. Cautious because he knew he had acted illegally, Henri Bourgeois decided to send the letters to other editors. On the morning of the 4th of November 1911, Le Journal was the first to break the story. Marie and Paul were in Brussels for the Solvay Congress, a series of conferences attended by the most brilliant scientists of the time, including Albert Einstein. Marie had just published her treatise on radioactivity. This could have been her day of glory, but in reality it was the beginning of a long battle.
Je vous prie de noter ceci. Je considère toute intrusion de la presse et du public dans ma vie privée comme abominable. J'entreprendrai par la voie de mon avocat une action rigoureuse contre la publication de lettres m'étant attribuées. Et j'exigerai en réparation des sommes importantes qui seront utilisées dans l'intérêt de la science.
At the same time, Jeanne lodged an adultery complaint with the Paris Public Prosecutor's Office. The public prosecutor opened an investigation. Marie Curie collapsed. Emaciated, paralysed, her friends thought she was dead. In the columns of some newspapers, she was now called the foreigner, the persecutor. L'Œuvre, a weekly newspaper run by Gustave Thierry, a nationalist and anti-Semite, defended Jeanne. In Marie Curie, he denounced the Jewish and anti-French plotter. At the same time, Henri Bourgeois painted a tearful portrait of his sister-in-law Jeanne Langevin, the good French mother, whose marriage had been shattered by a foreign scientist. 23rd of November 1911. Marie Curie's house was pelted with stones by an angry mob. The affair became so big that it led to 5 duels. Called a coward by Gustave Thierry, Paul Langevin challenged him to a single combat with a pistol, but Thierry refused to fire, a white duel. Her scientific friends and the Dreyfus supporters rallied behind her. Einstein himself wrote to support her. At the same time, the Nobel Committee in Stockholm announced that she had won the Nobel Prize in Chemistry for discovering polonium and radium, two elements with a radiant future. She was to go and receive it in the Swedish capital, but she and Paul had been summoned to appear in court in Paris. To avoid the catastrophe of a conviction, Paul Langevin negotiated with Jeanne. He promised to stay with her. The trial was cancelled. The slanderous press campaign came to a screeching halt. The epic battle for a man's love between Marie Curie and Jeanne Langevin came to a sad end. Marie went to collect her Nobel Prize, but this victory had a bitter taste. Her affair with Paul did not survive. In 1914, this woman who had been so disparaged by the nationalist press unhesitatingly joined the French war effort with the mobile radiology units, nicknamed the Little Curies. After the war, she helped found the League of Nations alongside Einstein and her former lover Paul Langevin. She launched the Curie Foundation and made a triumphant tour of the United States. In Paris, she even received the Grande Médaille d'Or from the American College of Radiology.
J'exprime tous mes remerciements à la délégation du Collège américain de radiologie et de la Société américaine de radiologie pour le témoignage d'estime qu'elle m'a apporté ici et auquel je suis extrêmement sensible.
Marie Curie opened the doors of her laboratory to women. She recruited 45 of them. She helped create a generation of female researchers, technicians, and laboratory assistants. After her death, she entered the Panthéon alongside Pierre in 1995, not far from the tomb of Paul Langevin, who had been pantheonized half a century earlier. Marie is still the only woman to have won 2 Nobel Prizes. Although she never claimed to be a feminist, her life resonates as a symbol of women's emancipation in the 20th century. For her part, Jeanne Langevin, a mother of 4, embodied the vision of women in the France of the Third Republic, which is why she received so much support. After the affair, Paul returned to the family home. But unfortunately for Jeanne, he soon began an affair with one of his pupils, with whom he would have a child. But he never separated from Jeanne again. Jeanne Langevin died in 1970 at the age of 96. Meanwhile, in a twist of fate, her grandson Michel Langevin married Marie Curie's granddaughter, Hélène Joliot-Curie, uniting the two families for good.